The vast emptiness of space was pierced by a single desperate cry. It was a sound that should never have been heard, especially not from a child. But on this day, the unthinkable happened. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, beings from 1,000 worlds gathered. They came in all shapes and sizes, some with tentacles, others with multiple eyes, and a few that were barely more than clouds of gas. But today, all eyes were fixed on a small, trembling figure in the center of the room. It was an alien child, no more than 6 Earth years old. Its skin was a soft blue, with patterns that seemed to shift like clouds. Large, frightened eyes darted around the room, looking for a friendly face, but there were none to be found. The council members looked down at the child with cold, uncaring eyes. They saw not a living, feeling being, but a problem to be solved. A representative from a race of tall, spindly creatures stepped forward. "This child," it said in a voice like grinding metal, "is the last of its kind. Its planet was destroyed in our war against the rebellion. We must decide its fate." A murmur went through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, others looked uncomfortable, but none spoke up for the child. Another council member, a being made of living crystal, chimed in. "We cannot allow it to live. Its people were rebels. It may grow up to cause trouble." The child didn't understand the words, but it could feel the hate and fear in the room. It began to cry, a soft, heartbreaking sound. Unknown to the council, humans were watching. Earth had recently joined the galactic community, and a small group of human observers were present at this meeting. They stood in the shadows, forgotten by the larger aliens, but they saw everything. Sarah Chen, the leader of the human group, felt her heart break as she watched the scene unfold. She had a daughter about the same age as this alien child. She couldn't imagine anyone treating her little girl with such cruelty. Next to her, John Beakey clenched his fists. He was a historian, and he knew all too well what happened when people stood by and let evil occur. "We can't let this happen," he whispered to Sarah. But what could they do? They were new to this galactic society, with no real power or influence. They were supposed to observe, not interfere. The council's debate continued, growing more heated. Some argued for a quick death, others for imprisonment. Not one voice was raised in the child's defense. Suddenly, the child looked directly at the humans. Its eyes were full of fear and pain, but also a desperate hope. It reached out a small hand towards them. Sarah felt something inside her snap. Without thinking, she stepped forward. "Stop," she shouted. The council chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to the small group of humans. Many of the aliens looked surprised, as if they had forgotten the humans were even there. Sarah's voice shook, but she continued. "This is wrong. You can't punish a child for the actions of its parents. On Earth, we believe in protecting the innocent." John stepped up beside her. "If you do this," he said, "you're no better than the rebels you fought against. Worse, even. They at least fought for something they believed in. You're just bullying the helpless child." The council members looked at each other, confused. They weren't used to being challenged, especially not by a species as new and seemingly primitive as humans. The crystal being spoke again. "This is not your concern, humans. You do not understand our ways." "If your ways involve hurting children," Sarah replied, "then we don't want to understand them." The human words echoed through the chamber. For a moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, a few council members began to look ashamed. Others still looked angry, but now there was uncertainty in their eyes. The alien child, sensing a change, stopped crying. It looked at the humans with wonder and gratitude. Sarah knew this was just the beginning. The council wouldn't change its mind easily, but she had opened a door, started a conversation that couldn't be ignored. As she looked around the room, she saw that some of the other alien races were nodding in agreement. Perhaps humans weren't alone in their feelings. Whatever happened next, one thing was clear: humanity had made its stand. They would not stand by and watch cruelty happen, no matter the cost. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were a force to be reckoned with. The news of the Galactic Council's cruelty spread across Earth like wildfire. Within days, every human on the planet knew about the alien child and the brave stand taken by Sarah Chen and John Mackey. In the White House, President Amelia Rodriguez paced back and forth. Her advisors watched nervously as she read the report for the 10th time. Finally, she looked up, her eyes blazing with determination. "We can't let this stand," she said. "Humanity must act." Her chief of staff, a veteran politician named Tom Hughes, spoke up. "Madam President, we need to be careful. We're new to the galactic stage. We don't want to make enemies." President Rodriguez slammed her hand on the desk. "And we don't want to be the kind of people who stand by while a child suffers," she said. "Prepare a statement. We're going to rescue that child." Across the world, similar scenes played out. In Beijing, London, Nairobi, and New Delhi, leaders gathered to discuss the crisis. For once, old rivalries were set aside. This was bigger than any one nation. In a secret underground base in the Rocky Mountains, a team of Earth's best soldiers gathered. They came from every corner of the globe. Navy SEALs from the U.S., Gurkhas from Nepal, SAS from Britain, and more. Captain Lai Wei of the Chinese Space Force stood before them. "You are the best of the best," he said. "But this mission will test you like nothing before. We're going into alien territory to rescue a child. Failure is not an option." The soldiers nodded grimly. They knew the risks, but they also knew what was at stake. Meanwhile, in a lab in Tokyo, Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked frantically. She was Earth's leading expert on alien biology. "We need to understand the child's needs," she muttered as she pored over the limited data they had. "What if it breathes different air? What if our food is poisoned to it?" Her team worked around the clock, preparing for every possibility they could think of. Back in Washington, President Rodriguez addressed the world. "Citizens of Earth," she began, her voice firm and clear. "We face a moment that will define our species. Will we stand by and allow cruelty to happen, just because it's happening to someone different from us? Or will we stand up for what's right, no matter the cost?" She paused, letting her words sink in. "I say we act. We will rescue this child. We will show the galaxy that humanity stands for compassion and justice." The response was overwhelming. Millions took to the streets in support. Even those who disagreed with the decision respected the courage it took. In orbit around Earth, a new ship waited. The HFY Hope was humanity's most advanced spacecraft. Built in secret over the past year, it was meant to be Earth's flagship in peaceful exploration. Now, it would serve a different purpose. Commander Maria Santos stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. She had dreamed of this moment since she was a little girl, but never like this. "Are we ready?" she asked her crew. Her second-in-command, a brilliant Nigerian engineer named Oluwaseun Afolayan, nodded. "All systems are green, Commander. We can leave at any time." Maria took a deep breath. "Then let's go save a child." As the Hope prepared to depart, a small team snuck aboard. Led by Sarah Chen and John Mackey, these were the humans who had witnessed the Council's cruelty firsthand. They weren't soldiers, but they knew they had to help. "We started this," Sarah said as they found a hiding spot in the cargo bay. "We need to see it through." John nodded, his historian's mind already thinking about how this moment would be remembered. "This could change everything," he said, "not just for the child, but for humanity's place in the galaxy." As the ship's engines roared to life, every human on Earth held their breath. They knew the risks. The Galactic Council was powerful, with technology far beyond Earth's. This mission could end in disaster. But they also knew they had to try, because sometimes doing the right thing means taking a stand, no matter the odds. The HSS Hope disappeared into the depths of space, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. Humanity had made its choice. Now, they would face the consequences together. The HS Hope glided silently through the inky blackness of space, Inside, the crew worked with focused intensity. They were entering alien territory, and every moment brought new dangers. Commander Maria Santos stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on a holographic display. It showed their target, a massive space station that served as the headquarters of the Galactic Council. "Status report," she ordered, her voice calm despite the tension in the air. Lieutenant Raj Patel, the ship's sensor officer, spoke up. "We're approaching the outer defense perimeter, Commander. So far, we've avoided detection." Maria nodded. Their stealth technology, reverse-engineered from fragments of alien ships, was holding up. But for how long? In the engine room, Oluwaseun Afolayan worked frantically. The Hope's engines were pushed to their limits, operating in ways they were never designed for. "Hold together," he muttered, patting a console affectionately. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Multiple contacts. Raj shouted, "Patrol ships, closing fast." Maria's mind raced. They couldn't outrun the alien ships, and they certainly couldn't outfight them. But maybe. "Helm, take us into that asteroid field," she ordered, pointing to a dense cluster of space rocks on the display. The helmsman, a young woman named Emily Chen, looked nervous but didn't hesitate. "Aye, Commander," she said, her hands flying over the controls. The Hope plunged into the asteroid field. Massive chunks of rock tumbled past, some barely missing the ship. Emily's face was a mask of concentration as she navigated the deadly obstacle course. Behind them, the alien patrol ships hesitated. Their larger, less maneuverable craft couldn't follow safely. In the cargo bay, Sarah Chen and John Beakey held on for dear life as the ship shuddered and shook. "I'm starting to think this wasn't such a good idea," John said, his face pale. Sarah managed a weak smile. "Too late to back out now," she replied. Back on the bridge, Maria allowed herself a small sigh of relief as they emerged from the asteroid field. But their troubles were far from over. "Commander," Raj called out, his voice urgent, "I'm picking up a massive energy signature ahead. It's like nothing I've ever seen." The main screen lit up, showing their path ahead. And there, floating in space like a malevolent spider, was the Galactic Council's headquarters. It was enormous, easily 100 times the size of the Hope. Strange energies crackled around it, and weapon emplacements dotted its surface. "How are we supposed to get in there?" Emily asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Maria studied the station, her tactical mind working overtime. Then she saw it, a small opening, barely visible among the station's complex structure. "There," she said, pointing. "It looks like a maintenance hatch, probably used for small repair drones." Oluwaseun's voice came over the comm. "Commander, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we're too big to fit through that." Maria smiled grimly. "We are. But a shuttle isn't." Understanding dawned on the crew's faces. It was risky, incredibly so. But it was their only chance. "Prepare the shuttle," Maria ordered. "I'll lead the rescue team myself." As the crew rushed to obey, Maria turned to her second-in-command. "Keep the Hope hidden," she said. "If we're not back in 3 hours, get our people home." In the shuttle bay, a small team assembled. Along with Maria, there was Sergeant Jack Thompson, a tough Marine with a heart of gold, and Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the xenobiologist. To everyone's surprise, Sarah and John appeared, determination written on their faces. "We're coming too," Sarah said firmly. "We started this. We need to finish it." Maria wanted to argue, but there was no time. "Fine," she said. "But you follow orders." "Understood." They nodded, and the team boarded the shuttle. As the bay doors opened, revealing the massive alien station ahead, Maria took a deep breath. "Let's go save a child," she said, and launched the shuttle into space. As they approached the station, weaving between patrols and defense systems, every person on the shuttle knew that the real challenge was just beginning. They were about to enter the heart of alien territory, facing unknown dangers and overwhelming odds. But they also knew that back on Earth, billions of people were counting on them. They carried with them the hopes and values of all humanity. With determination in their hearts and courage in their souls, they pressed on towards their destination. The rescue mission had truly begun. The shuttle slipped silently through the maintenance hatch, barely squeezing through the narrow opening. Inside the Galactic Council station, the rescue team found themselves in a dimly lit service corridor. Commander Maria Santos raised her hand, signaling the others to stay quiet. Strange noises echoed in the distance, clicks, whistles, and sounds no human had ever heard before. "Remember," Maria whispered, "we're here for the child. Avoid contact with any aliens if possible." The team nodded, their faces a mix of determination and fear. They moved forward cautiously, Dr. Yuki Tanaka consulting a holographic map of the station. "The detention area should be 2 levels down," Yuki said softly. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with their first alien. It was a tall, insectoid creature with multiple arms and glowing eyes. For a moment, both sides froze in surprise. Then Sergeant Jack Thompson acted. With lightning speed, he fired his stun gun. The alien dropped to the floor, unconscious but unharmed. "Nice shot," Sarah Chen said, her voice shaky. John Beakey looked at the alien with a mix of fear and fascination. "I never imagined they'd look like this," he murmured. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. A voice boomed in an alien language, followed by an English translation. "Intruder alert. Unidentified species detected in Sector 7. So much for stealth," Maria grimaced. "Move, now." The team raced through the corridors, their hearts pounding. Alien security forces converged from all directions. Jack and Maria took the lead, stunning any aliens that got in their way. As they reached a large, circular chamber, they encountered unexpected allies. A group of aliens, different from the security forces, approached them. One stepped forward, its tentacles waving in what seemed like a peaceful gesture. "Humans," it said in broken English, "we help you. We against Council too." Maria hesitated, her weapon still raised. "Why should we trust you?" The alien's skin changed color, showing patterns that Yuki recognized from her studies. "It's expressing sincerity," she said. "I think it's telling the truth." "We know, child." Another alien added, "We show way." "With no other choice," Maria nodded. "Lead on, but no tricks." The alien rebels guided them through hidden passages and secret lifts. Along the way, they explained their situation. "Council corrupt," one said. "Many worlds suffer. We fight for freedom." John's eyes lit up. "A galactic rebellion," he whispered excitedly, "just like in the movies." Sarah elbowed him. "Focus, John. We're not out of danger yet." They'd reached the detention level, a vast area filled with force field cells. In one, they saw the alien child, curled up in a corner, looking even smaller and more vulnerable than before. As Jack worked to disable the force field, Yuki approached the child slowly. "It's okay," she said softly, using soothing tones. "We're here to help you." The child looked up, its large eyes filled with a mix of fear and hope. It reached out a small, 6-fingered hand towards Yuki. Just then, a booming voice filled the chamber. "Humans, you dare to interfere in Galactic Council matters." They turned to see a group of high-ranking council members, flanked by security forces. The leader, a towering crystalline being, pointed an accusing finger at them. "Return the child and surrender," it demanded, "or face the consequences." Maria stepped forward, her voice firm. "We will not. This child is under the protection of Earth now." The crystalline being's face twisted in anger. "Then you leave us no choice. Security, eliminate the intruders." As the alien forces advanced, the rebel aliens moved to stand with the humans. "We fight with you," they declared. It was a scene straight out of a sci-fi epic. A small band of humans and alien rebels, standing against the might of the Galactic Council, with an innocent child's fate hanging in the balance. Maria raised her weapon, her team following suit. "Remember your training," she said, "and remember why we're here." As the two sides clashed, the detention area erupted into chaos. Stun beams and alien weapons crisscrossed the air. The rescue team fought bravely, their new alien allies proving to be valuable fighters. In the midst of the battle, Yuki reached the child. She scooped it up in her arms, shielding it from the violence around them. "I've got the child," she shouted over the din of combat. Maria nodded. "Fall back to the extraction point," she ordered. As they retreated, fighting every step of the way, they knew the real challenge was just beginning. They still had to escape the station and make it back to the Hope. But looking at the child, now safe in Yuki's arms, they knew it was all worth it. They had taken the first step in showing the galaxy what humanity stood for. The battle for the child was won. Now the battle for their escape, and potentially the future of galactic politics, was about to begin. The rescue team raced through the winding corridors of the Galactic Council station, alarms blaring all around them. Dr. Yuki Tanaka clutched the alien child tightly to her chest, its small form trembling with each thunderous explosion that rocked the station. "This way," shouted one of their alien rebel allies, gesturing towards a narrow passageway. Commander Maria Santos nodded, her face etched with determination. "Jack, take the rear. Sarah, John, stay close to Yuki and the child." As they ran, the station's security forces closed in from all sides. Energy blasts sizzled past their heads, leaving scorch marks on the metallic walls. Sergeant Jack Thompson spun around, his stun gun firing in rapid succession. "We can't keep this up forever, Commander," he yelled over the chaos. Maria knew he was right. They needed a plan, and fast. As they rounded a corner, she spotted a control panel on the wall. An idea flashed in her mind. "Yuki," she called out, "can you interface with that panel? Maybe we can seal off some sections behind us." The xenobiologist nodded, quickly handing the child to Sarah. Her fingers flew over the alien symbols, her brow furrowed in concentration. Suddenly, the corridor behind them was sealed off by a thick metal barrier. "Nice work," John exclaimed, his historian's excitement momentarily overriding his fear. But their relief was short-lived. The station's AI voice boomed through the speakers, this time in perfect English. "Attention human intruders. You are surrounded. Surrender the child or face total annihilation." The team exchanged worried glances. They were so close to their extraction point, but the odds seemed insurmountable. Then, unexpectedly, the alien child spoke. Its voice was soft and melodious, unlike anything they had ever heard. It gestured towards a small vent in the wall, barely noticeable amidst the station's complex architecture. "Look," Sarah gasped. "I think it's trying to help us." Maria didn't hesitate. Everyone, into the vent. Now, one by one, they squeezed into the narrow passage. It was a tight fit, especially for Jack, but desperation lent them strength. They crawled through the darkness, guided only by the soft bioluminescence emitted by the child. As they emerged on the other side, they found themselves in a massive hangar bay. Sleek alien ships of various sizes filled the space. At the far end, they spotted their shuttle. "There's our ticket out of here," Maria said, a glimmer of hope in her voice. But between them and freedom stood a contingent of Galactic Council security forces, led by the imposing crystalline being they had encountered earlier. "Foolish humans," it boomed. "Did you really think you could outsmart the most advanced civilization in the galaxy?" Maria stepped forward, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "We may not be the most advanced, but we stand for what's right. We won't let you harm an innocent child." The crystalline being's face twisted in what might have been a sneer. "Noble sentiments, but they will be your downfall." Just as the situation seemed hopeless, their alien rebel allies sprang into action. They had quietly infiltrated the hangar during the confrontation and now launched a surprise attack on the Council forces. "Go," one of the rebels shouted. "We'll hold them off." The team didn't need to be told twice. They sprinted towards their shuttle, dodging energy blasts and leaping over debris. Jack laid down covering fire, his expert marksmanship keeping the enemy at bay. As they reached the shuttle, Yuki worked feverishly to start the engines. The rest of the team provided cover, with Sarah and John using makeshift weapons to help. The engines roared to life just as the Council forces began to overwhelm the rebels. Maria's heart ached at the sight of their newfound allies falling, but she knew they had to seize this chance. "Everyone in, now," she ordered. The team piled into the shuttle, with Jack being the last to jump in as the door sealed shut behind him. Yuki's hands flew over the controls, and the shuttle lifted off, narrowly avoiding a barrage of enemy fire. As they shot out of the hangar and into open space, a new challenge presented itself. The station's defense systems had come online, and a swarm of fighter ships was launching in pursuit. Maria took the helm, her years of training kicking in. "Hold on tight," she warned. "This is going to be one hell of a ride." The shuttle weaved and dodged through a hail of energy blasts, with Maria's expert piloting keeping them just ahead of destruction. In the distance, they could see the HFY Hope emerging from its hiding place, coming to their rescue. But between them and safety lay a gauntlet of enemy ships and space debris. The final, most dangerous leg of their escape was about to begin, with the fate of the child, the team, and potentially Earth standing in the galaxy hanging in the balance. The shuttle hurtled through space, a trail of enemy fighters hot on its tail. Inside, Commander Maria Santos gripped the controls tightly, her face a mask of concentration as she navigated through a deadly field of laser fire and space debris. Shields at 60% and dropping. Yuki shouted from the sensor station, her voice barely audible over the blaring alarms. Jack manned the shuttle's lone defense turret, returning fire with pinpoint accuracy. "I can't hold them all off," he yelled, sweat beading on his forehead. In the back, Sarah and John huddled protectively around the alien child, who watched the unfolding chaos with wide, frightened eyes. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the shuttle. "We've lost an engine," Yuki cried out. Maria gritted her teeth. "Come on, old girl," she muttered to the shuttle. "Just a little further." Through the view screen, they could see the HFY Hope growing larger, but between them and safety lay a gauntlet of Galactic Council battleships, their weapons trained on the tiny shuttle. "This is Commander Zix 427 of the Galactic Council," a voice boomed over the comm system. "Surrender now, or be destroyed." Maria's mind raced. They were so close, but outgunned and outnumbered. Then an idea struck her. "Yuki," she called out, "remember those strange energy readings we picked up from the asteroid field?" Yuki's eyes widened in understanding. "Yes, but that's incredibly risky, Commander." "No choice," Maria replied grimly. "Everyone, hold on tight." With a sharp turn, Maria steered the shuttle towards the dense asteroid field they had navigated earlier. The enemy ships followed, their superior maneuverability allowing them to weave through the rocky obstacles with ease. "What's the plan?" Jack asked, still firing at their pursuers. "We're going to wake up some old friends," Maria said with a grim smile. As they plunged deeper into the asteroid field, strange, shimming lights began to appear around them. Suddenly, massive shapes stirred within the asteroids. "Space whales," John gasped in awe. Indeed, colossal creatures, each the size of a battleship, emerged from their slumber. The Council ships, caught off guard, scrambled to avoid colliding with the giant beasts. "Now's our chance," Maria said, pushing the shuttle's remaining engine to its limit. They burst out of the asteroid field, the space whales inadvertently providing cover as they lazily drifted into the paths of the pursuing ships. But their troubles weren't over. The Council's main fleet still stood between them and the Hope. Just then, The comm system crackled to life. HS Hope to shuttle. A familiar voice called out, "Hang on, we're coming in hot." The Hope swooped in, its advanced weapons blazing. Caught between the Earth ship and the awakened space whales, the Council fleet fell into disarray. "There's our opening," Maria announced. "Brace for docking." With expert precision, she guided the damaged shuttle into the Hope's hangar bay. As soon as they touched down, emergency crews swarmed around them. The team stumbled out, exhausted but triumphant. Medics rushed to check on the alien child, who seemed overwhelmed but unharmed. On the bridge of the Hope, the battle raged on. Commander Santos, despite her fatigue, took command. "Status report," she barked. "Shields at 40%, weapons at full capacity," her second-in-command reported. "The Council fleet is regrouping, but those space whales are causing havoc in their ranks." Maria allowed herself a small smile. Sometimes nature is the best ally. Set course for Earth, maximum speed. As the Hope prepared to jump to light speed, a final transmission came through from the Council's flagship. "This isn't over, humans," the crystalline being's voice grated. "You've committed an act of war against the Galactic Council. Your primitive world will face the consequences." Maria leaned towards the comm system, her voice steady and determined. "No, this isn't over. But it's not a war we started. We came here to save an innocent life, to stand up for what's right. If that's against your laws, then maybe it's time for new laws." With that, she cut the transmission. "Take us home," she ordered. The Hope's engines flared to life, and in a flash of brilliant light, they vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind a stunned Galactic Council fleet and a group of very confused space whales. As the adrenaline of battle faded, the reality of what they'd done began to sink in. They had rescued the child, but at what cost? Earth had just made its debut on the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible. Whatever came next, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. And humanity, for better or worse, was now at the center of it all. The HSS Hope emerged from hyperspace, Earth's familiar blue orb growing larger in the view screen. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the bridge. Commander Maria Santos stood tall, her uniform battered but her spirit unbroken. "We're home," she announced, a hint of emotion in her voice. As they approached Earth, dozens of satellites and space stations came to life, hailing the returning ship. News of their mission had spread, and the world waited with bated breath. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Yuki Tanaka gently examined the alien child. Its blue skin shimmered under the lights, and its large eyes darted curiously around the room. "Incredible," Yuki muttered. "Its physiology is unlike anything I've ever seen." Sarah Chen and John Mbiki watched from nearby, their faces a mix of wonder and concern. "What will happen to it now?" Sarah asked softly. Before anyone could answer, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Attention all crew," Maria's voice rang out. "Prepare for landing. We're about to make history." The Hope descended through Earth's atmosphere, escorted by a fleet of fighter jets. As they broke through the clouds, they saw a sight that took their breath away. Millions of people had gathered in the fields outside the landing zone. They waved flags, held up signs, and cheered as the ship came into view. It was a hero's welcome like no other. The ship touched down gently. As the ramp lowered, Maria led her team out, with Yuki carefully carrying the alien child. The roar of the crowd was deafening. President Amelia Rodriguez stepped forward, her face solemn but her eyes shining with pride. "Commander Santos," she said, her voice carried by microphones to the waiting world. "On behalf of the people of Earth, I thank you and your crew for your bravery and compassion." She turned to address the crowd and the cameras. "Today, we have shown the galaxy who we truly are. We may be young in their eyes, but our hearts are strong, and our sense of justice unshakable." As she spoke, the alien child stirred in Yuki's arms. It looked out at the sea of faces, then did something unexpected. It smiled, A collective gasp went through the crowd, followed by a wave of gentle laughter and tears. In that moment, any doubts about their mission melted away. This child, so different yet so familiar, had touched their hearts. But the celebration was short-lived. A low rumble filled the air, and shadows fell over the gathering. Everyone looked up to see a fleet of Galactic Council ships filling the sky. Panic began to spread through the crowd. Maria and her team tensed, ready for another fight. But then, something unexpected happened. A holographic image appeared above the Council's lead ship. It was the crystalline being they had encountered, but its demeanor had changed. "People of Earth," it began, its voice resonating across the land. "We came here prepared for war, but what we have witnessed has given us pause." The being's form shimmered, showing scenes from their mission: the rescue, the space whale encounter, and finally, the child's smile. "In your actions, we see a reflection of what the Galactic Council was meant to be," it continued. "You have reminded us of our purpose: to protect and nurture, not to control and punish." President Rodriguez stepped forward. "Does this mean you're not here to attack?" The crystalline being's form rippled in what might have been a laugh. "No, we are not here to attack. We are here to learn, and perhaps to change." Over the next few hours, as the world watched in awe, the first official meeting between Earth and the Galactic Council took place. Treaties were discussed, cultural exchanges proposed, and a new era of galactic cooperation was born. The alien child, now a symbol of this new beginning, was given a choice. It could return to the Council or stay on Earth. To everyone's joy, it chose to stay, with Yuki Tanaka as its guardian. As the sun set on this historic day, Maria stood with her team, watching the alien ships depart peacefully. "So," John said, still sounding a bit dazed, "what happens now?" Maria smiled, looking up at the stars that now seemed full of promise rather than threat. "Now," she said, "we explore, together." And so, Earth took its place in the galactic community. It was the beginning of a new chapter for humanity, one filled with challenges, adventures, and the promise of a brighter future for all species across the stars. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. But as they had proven, when faced with the unknown, humans could rise to the occasion with courage, compassion, and an unbreakable spirit. The adventure was just beginning.